Matthew chapter 10. I'll try to do better than I did last time, but that's the most I can promise. We're in verse 21. After Jesus has said, he's given them a look into the future. It was not a pretty look, but he had, even when he shared with them, told them, you're going to be arrested. You're going to be before judges and magistrates and even kings. And then he said, but the Holy Spirit will give you words to say, which, I mean, that's pretty comforting, except for the part of being arrested and all of that and flogged. Okay, verse 21. Brother will betray brother to death. That's strong. It's one thing for a brother to betray another brother, to betray their confidence, or to somehow undermine them as a person, but to betray them to death. That's I have two brothers, both living, and I can't imagine what it would take to hate them enough to betray them to death. This is not there's nothing casual about this. I mean, I don't think it's a business relationship. But I think there are some families that are so toxic that life within that family is so full of anger and hostility and even hatred. And a father his child. Now, one way to read this is, brother will betray brother to death, and a father his child to death. Wow. Children will rebel against their parents and have them put to death. We're not talking about, I'm going to move out. We're not talking about an adolescent or a young adult just making bad choices because of their animosity toward their parents. We're talking about the ultimate, having them killed. And then verse 22, all men will hate you because of me. Ooh. That's not what I wouldn't put that in the the ad for recruitment. That's not the kind of thing that would attract very many people. Oh, by the way, all men will hate you because of me. You might be winsome, you might be handsome, you might be well-spoken, you might be just one of those guys, but they're going to hate you. Not even because of you, but because of me, Jesus said. But he who stands firm to the end will be saved. Sheesh. Wow. Okay. I'm trying to listen to this as if I were one of the 12. It would have been like, those are high, hard fastballs coming right at my head. I don't know, if I was a disciple, I wouldn't know, what do I do with this? And then, all men are going to hate you because of me, but if you stand firm to the end, you will be saved. Now, we have to think about saved from what? Will they be saved from the horror of a martyr's death? Well, We already know the answer to that. No. Will they be saved from their sins? Now I have to be careful because these are Jesus' words, okay? But on the other side of the cross, it is not my standing steadfastly that will save me, but it's His grace that will save me. And then there's this. What would make it possible for the apostles and you and I to stand firm to the end? I think it's God's grace. God's grace gives us the energy, the inner peace, even the motivation to stand firm. And while I think these words were spoken for and directly to the 12 apostles, is it possible that the principle involved here applies to us? I think probably. Verse 23, when you're persecuted in one place, flee to another. I tell you the truth, you will not finish going through the cities of Israel before the Son of Man comes. So there's some pragmatics here. When you're persecuted, move on. Find another place. Escape that. Okay? And he doesn't just say, find another place. Just flee from that place to another. Okay. That's pretty practical. And then he says, you will not finish going through the cities of Israel before the Son of Man comes. What are we talking about here? The Son of Man coming. It's hard for me to imagine that Jesus was talking about his second coming because the apostles and the word had gone through all of Israel before the apostles' lives ended, and Jesus hadn't returned and has not yet since then. So is it possible that we're talking about, he's sending them out, and that they are going, they're going through Israel with this message. The Son of Man, when the Son of Man comes, boy, I don't know. I think one of the ideas on that could be that this coming of the Son of Man is not the second coming, but could it be his resurrection? Or I think we have to rule out his second coming. The Son of Man comes. Jesus was the Son of Man. It's the term he used for himself all the way through the Gospels. So if you're thinking I'm going to be able to explain, so what is this coming of the Son of Man? I can't explain it. I don't know. Best I can say is, keep it in its context, okay? This was what Jesus told his disciples, his apostles, before he released them and sent them out into Israel. It even could have been that Jesus was saying, you get done with this and I'm going to find you. You're going to find me. I don't know. 23. A student is not above his teacher, nor a servant above his master. Ooh, that's a little easier to understand and interpret. have you? I've taught a little bit. I've taught a lot in churches, but I taught a little bit in a college setting, and I've only had it happen hardly at all that a student has indicated to me they already know everything I'm trying to tell them. And that is, well, and they might. I'm not that brilliant. But on the other side, I don't think they could. They're not old enough. Okay, anyway, a student's not above his teacher, and a servant is not above his master. It is enough for the student to be like his teacher and the servant like his master. Okay, well, yeah. A student, when he is fully taught, will be like his teacher. Happens. It's an adage, and the reason that it persists is because it's true. Our experience tells us, yep. And a servant will become like his master. There is a principle of leadership that further illustrates this truth. I think it was John Maxwell. So this would have been at least 30 years ago. I heard him speak, and he said, after 6 months, a church will have the personality of its senior leadership. This could be very good if the senior leadership is humble and thoughtful and godly and seeking wisdom from above, full of grace and truth. But if not, that's a bad thing. And I think all of us have seen examples of a church taking on the personality of a broken and flawed. All leaders are flawed. All senior leadership in a church is flawed. There's nobody who's not. Some are more fatally flawed. Okay. And then he goes on. This is a little bit of the negative reality that Jesus is sharing with his guys. If the head of the house has been called Beelzebub, which is a demon, the devil, how much more the members of his household? Okay. The Pharisees and some of the teachers of the law accused Jesus of doing his miracles, casting out demons by the power of demons. And so what Jesus is saying, hey, if they're saying that about me, count on it. They're going to say it about you. Boy, this is a preparation for the harsh realities of dealing with people and following up on Jesus' commission. There's a principle involved here that applies to us, but the specifics of this were for the apostles. I have never had anyone tell me that how did he phrase it? Nobody has ever called me Beelzebub. Never. Nobody's ever said, what you're doing is you're doing it through the power of Satan. Nobody has. Well, I think about Martin Luther, John Huss, Zwingli, Tyndale. These church fathers and the fathers of the Reformation, they were accused of that, and some of them all the time, and a large majority of these guys were killed because of the reform that they had brought to and advocated for the church. Yeah, it happened. And Jesus was preparing the apostles for the fact this is going to happen. And don't be surprised by it. They did it to me, they'll do it to you. Well, I only did infinitesimally better today than last time, but I'll try to do better next time when we get together on Soul Care with Stevie Boy.